Part 23. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 221. Shen Baining looked at Bai Jianchun with an even more strange look, as if she was looking at a big treasure, and laughed appreciatively. That's good, it's good that the force value is high. As women, the force value must be high so that we won't be bullied. Firstly, he can defeat his love rival, secondly, he can teach his husband a lesson, and thirdly, he can go to the battlefield to kill enemies and make achievements. Obviously, Shen Baining was very happy and supported that women should have a strong iron fist. She also praised Bai Jianchun again and again, trying to break her inferiority. For this, she also blocked a lot of people with high martial arts value. Good thing, the men present were trembling. Are all women today so ambitious? How come they are so useless? All in all, Bai Jianchun's second reason was gradually solved by Shen Baining's praise of her. Bai Jianchun wiped his sweat silently and finally realized the seriousness of the matter. Shen Baining's sincerity is touching, and her kindness and enthusiasm for you are overwhelming. If you refuse with a cold face and a firm face, you can't be so cruel. Even if you find various reasons to refuse, she can stand sincerely. I will think of all solutions for you from your point of view. If you want to postpone the Cold War, Shen Baining is also a person who can be ruthless. He will beat people up and teach them a lesson, and he can also carry Fen Yuyu on the spot. Kneeling on the durian, he really treated the person as his own son. This. Bai Jianchun really wanted to use the Cold War method, but Fen Yuyu didn't want to endure hardship, let alone be embarrassed in public, and was unhappy with it. If she really did this, she would have to pay liquidated damages for the 200 million yuan deal. Then what else can you do? If you continue to refuse, then people will have to doubt the authenticity of their marriage. Bai Jianchun, dilemma. Fake marriage is not easy. Sometimes people who sincerely think about themselves are the hardest to reject. Bai Jianchun felt bitter. Fen Yuyu was stabbed several times, and every time he was hurt, it was him, and Fen Yuyu felt miserable. In the end, they could only declare that they had urgent matters to attend to, and they would take an intermission and have a long time to come. They would discuss it later. Then the husband and wife supported each other and quickly escaped. After leaving Shen Baining's warm and concerned gaze, Bai Jianchun took a deep breath, looking like she was surviving the disaster. Fen Yuyu raised his eyebrows and looked at her, with a lazy and handsome smile full of teasing. How about it? You know why I was so anxious just now. My eldest sister is comparable to a tiger and a giant beast. Even if she throws me on the battlefield, it will be worse then. It's easy to deal with her. Bai Jianchun glanced at this guy who was gloating about his misfortune and felt sad. It was really difficult to deal with him. Then she couldn't help but frown. What are you going to do after that? You can't really hold a wedding. Fen Yuyu's body stiffened slightly, his smile faded, and his eyes were a little wandering. I don't know either. Bai Jianchun's eyes slid from his perfect jawline to the slightly raised peach blossom eyes at the end of his eyes. A dark light flashed through his eyes, and then his tone was faint and threatening. You have to figure this out yourself. Anyway, I'm absolutely in charge of the wedding. It's impossible to hold it. If you can't convince eldest sister, the 200 million deal will be cancelled, and the wedding deal will be cancelled. Now I don't lack 200 million and 100,000 monthly living expenses. Don't. Fen Yu's expression changed immediately and he blurted out anxious words. Then he immediately became serious, thinking that it was wrong for him to rush forward in such a hurry. The most important thing during the negotiation process was to be anxious. He coughed lightly, used his professional skills, and grabbed Bai Jianchun's 7 inches. You can ignore the 200 million, but you will always need the Feng family's free transport ship. Feng Tangwei Na girl opened a Star Network store and helped you sell so many orders. Without my free transport ship, your fruits and vegetables would have to pay for the transportation fees to sell them, or the order would be ruined. From now on, Muyuan Star will have to. There is a credibility issue, both options are not cost effective. Are you really going to give up on our engagement? Bai Qian-chun, we really can't give up. The Feng family's free transport ship is really important. The two faced each other, their eyes crackling. In the end, everyone took a step back and decided to work together to find a way to persuade the eldest sister. While talking, the two of them returned to the Star Lord's mansion one after another. Bai Qian-chun pursed her lips and glanced at the old, rusty iron door that was slightly opened. She paused and stopped. What's wrong, Fen Yuyu, who noticed her abnormality and was walking leisurely with his hands in his pockets, raised his eyebrows and walked over quickly. He stood next to Bai Qian-chun, and when his arms touched each other, the other person's temperature spread through the two pieces of fabric. Bai Qian-chun moved to the side uncomfortably, and the look in his eyes narrowed. It's nothing. Fen Yuyu stood aside and pouted. Didn't he just touch his arm, just to avoid him? And then he casually responded, oh, then go in quickly, go back and catch up on your sleep first, and then go to help you rub your pills. Don't say no, look at how long it's been since you had a good night's sleep. He was really worried about this woman. Both the eldest sister and she were both desperate mothers, but now that the eldest sister had a brother-in-law watching over her, he should keep an eye on this woman. Bai Qian-chun pursed her lips and paused. Thinking of going to Longzhen City in the evening, she did not object to Fen Yuyu's proposal. Okay, let's rest first. But she didn't rush in. Instead, she walked to the big iron door and sprinkled 2 handfuls of white powder. Then she wiped her hands and pushed open the squeaking iron door and walked in. Fen Yuyu moved his long legs to catch up and asked suspiciously, what did you spread just now? It's nothing, it's just insect repellent powder. After the recent recovery of Muyuan Star, snakes, insects, rats, and ants have also begun to recover. There are a lot of bugs outside the big iron door. Seeing the two people walking further and further away, and the sound coming from afar, the person hiding in the dark breathed a sigh of relief, almost thinking that he had been discovered. The person hiding on the left came out of the shadows. What should we do now? The Muyuan Star Master is back, and it's hard to explore inside. The other person looked quite unconcerned. Tisk, it's just a broken Star Lord's mansion. No matter how much you probe, you can't find anything. Besides, the Muyuan Star Lord is just a little girl, and he didn't come to Muyuan Star for a long time. It's not long, what secrets can it hide? Shut up, the Master's affairs are not ours to talk about. Also, besides us, there are several waves of people who have also stayed nearby. Go and find out where they are from. I know, I know. Here, as soon as Bai Qian-chun returned to the 2-story building, she turned around and threw a porcelain bottle to Fen Yuyu. Fen Yuyu picked it up casually and took a look. What is this? The antidote to itchy powder. Fen Yuyu's deep peach blossom eyes flashed slightly, the corners of his mouth raised, and he immediately understood what she meant. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 222. After a nap, her tense energy was much better. Bai Qian-chun stretched out and got up from the bed, put on her woven slippers, and walked slowly downstairs. Coincidentally, as soon as she walked downstairs, Fen Yuyu opened the door sleepily, and the two of them looked at each other at the door. Fen Yuyu narrowed his eyes because his yawning mouth stopped halfway. He blinked, feeling a little embarrassed. Should he continue the yawn or stop it? Bai Qian-chun glanced at him lightly, her heart not fluctuating much. She just objectively lamented that people with good faces really take advantage. Even yawning was lazy and casual, and attractive. After the evaluation, she took the lead to look away, and then noticed the layout of his room through the door he opened. The originally empty room was now covered with light golden rose pattern wallpaper, luxurious crystal chandeliers, brown and yellow patterned solid wood floors, a luxurious solid wood bed, pure white with a golden embroidery. Satin quilt. The whole room exuded a sense of luxury and nobility, just like the comfortable and soft satin pajamas he wore. Baikin Chun's face was expressionless, but if she looked carefully, she could still find a hint of envy. When did you decorate it? Fen Yuyu slowly closed his open mouth, with a lazy smile at the corner of his mouth, and pulled up his scattered pajamas. His peach blossom eyes that had just woken up were still gleaming and looked towards her. Just now, I was sleeping. Before, would you like to come in and take a look? He would definitely not sleep in a tent anyway. If he wanted to sleep more luxuriously, he would have to provide adequate food and clothing by himself. He even gave up his original plan of calling Yao Wengxian to come over and become a plumber and built this room by himself. It seems that the effect is good. He has not done these things since he left the garbage star. Now that he is caught again, he is not too unfamiliar. Bai Qianchun looked away and moved away. No. Then he walked into the kitchen without looking back. Fen Yuyu clicked his tongue twice as he looked at her back, then opened his long legs to follow her, reaching out to button the buttons on her pajamas, leaving only the top two unbuttoned, revealing her white and sexy collarbones. Then he chased Bai Qianchun and said in a negotiating tone, "Can you keep my room until I come to Muyuan planet next time?" Bai Qianchun didn't even look back. "No, it's a waste if it's empty. Once you can't live in it, we'll arrange for patients to live there. I plan to use this floor as a medical room." Fen Yuyu's face collapsed at that time, and he muttered dissatisfiedly, "It's for patients. How can I let those people live in such a nice room that I personally decorated?" Bai Qianchun pondered for a moment. "That's right." Fen Yuyu's eyes lit up and he looked over and heard her continue, "The decoration of your room is really not suitable for a ward. There is only one bed, and the floor is easy to get dirty. So, take all these with you when you leave. If you rearrange it, there will need to be at least 3 beds in the room." Fen Yuyu. After following him into the kitchen, Bai Qianchun rolled up his sleeves and called out to Fen Yuyu unceremoniously, "Help me wash the grass leaves soaked in there." "Oh," Fen Yuyu responded subconsciously, and then suddenly asked in the middle of rolling up his sleeves, "I'll help you work, don't you give me a small salary?" Bai Qianchun glanced at him lightly and said, "What a beautiful idea. Just go out if it's not relevant. You take up a lot of space for such a big person." Do it, I can't do it," Fen Yuyu quickly surrendered and said. He was particularly curious about the process of rolling the meatballs. If he missed this village, there would be no shop like this. Why don't he just wash medicine tools for free? Done. His 2 long, slender hands reached into the pool, and while scrubbing the blades of grass that resembled a 6-leaf clover, he asked curiously, "What kind of herb is this? Why haven't I seen it before?" Bai Qianchun reluctantly said with some patience, "This is called luieko. It is a grass leaf similar to tea. It can be made into tea or used as tobacco leaves. Generally speaking, it is not a medicinal herb, but it has the effect of medicinal herbs, can calm the nerves and stabilize the mood." Fen Yuyu's peach blossom eyes flashed with light. "Are you planning to make tobacco leaves for the prince?" Is there something wrong with her mental state? Fen Yuyu is indeed a smart man. He judged Qin Menyun's problem just by looking at the efficacy of the rhizome. Bai Qianchun raised her eyes and glanced at him with a chuckle, appreciating, "Guessed it right, but there is no reward. This tobacco leaf of ro leaf has no side effects and can completely replace her orchid-scented tobacco leaf that hurts the nerves. This was an unspoken deal between me and her before." Fen Yuyu also suddenly realized, no wonder that His Highness the Prince, who has been domineering and bloody everywhere these years, has such a good temper on Muyuan planet this time. His eyes flickered, and he asked with a bit of inquiry, "Is this considered a disease of hers?" Can it be treated? The corners of Baikin Chun's lips raised slightly. It can be regarded as a mental illness. Has the temper of His Highness the Prince changed the day after tomorrow? Has anything happened to her before or major changes? I have to analyze the specific situation to see if she can still survive. Rule. Feng Yuya glanced at her suspiciously. Oh, he knew that this woman taking the initiative to smile at him and discuss it with him would be no good. She was setting him up to get information from him. Gee, who knew he was indeed curious about this matter? Their Feng group still has several businesses to cooperate with His Highness the Prince, but His Highness the Prince is not easy to deal with. From time to time, he loses his mind and doesn't want to do business. He wants to drag everyone together to lose money. For this matter, their group has several. The lines are stuck there and cannot be operated, the plan cannot be passed, and the plan cannot be implemented. You may want to withdraw the investment halfway, but once the investment is withdrawn, the losses will be huge, so you can only spend it like this. As the general manager, Yao Wengxian was the person in charge of the cooperation with His Royal Highness the Prince's interest chain. He lost a lot of hair because of this. From then on, he had an attitude of respect for female partners, fearing that she would not be able to cooperate with him after the cooperation was concluded. If you don't agree, you will go crazy. Who should he ask to reason with this? He was obviously a normal person before the cooperation was concluded, but he went crazy after the cooperation was concluded. Can this be blamed on his poor business vision? No, it can only be said that he is unlucky. After sighing with emotion, Feng Yuya didn't hide it and started talking about the life of His Highness the Prince. His Royal Highness, whose real name is Qin Menyuan, is innocent, gentle and elegant. She is the half-sister of His Majesty the Emperor. When she was a girl, she saved His Majesty the Emperor's life by accident, so he was raised by His Majesty as his biological sister. Later, she was raised by his mother-in-law. After she died of illness, everyone in her mother's family died in a battle, and her military achievements were huge. Qin Menyuan, the only remaining bloodline, took over all the glory of her mother's family, and was granted the title of Her Royal Highness as a special case. After that, he took over the 6th Legion of her mother-in-law's family and became the most powerful prince in the empire. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 223. With the honor and military power granted by the title, coupled with her own talents, Her Royal Highness has undoubtedly become the most popular candidate for marriage in the empire. Invitations from countless elite nobles from various families are pouring in. But what is shocking is that she actually ignored countless young talents and chose the unknown third son Mizuzjia from the Shui family of the Duke's palace. Bai Qianchun raised her eyebrows keenly. What happened to Mizuzjia? Feng Yuya shook the grass and put it on the chopping board. He took the time to cast an appreciative look at her. Yes, the accident did happen to Mizuzjia. The third son of the Shui family has a low reputation. Even when he appeared at the banquet, he made no noise. He has a gentlemanly demeanor but does not stand out. Only his appearance is passable. He has the face of a handsome boy, but his appearance is nothing among the young talents of the upper-class nobles. He can hardly make a splash. He is the most mediocre and incompetent among the Shui family brothers. If His Highness hadn't chosen him to marry, there would have been no one with his name. I can remember. But he was so lucky. Later, after His Highness the Prince married, because of her identity and power, Mizuzjia's treatment in the Shui family also increased. She began to be taken seriously, and she also showed her prominence in major banquets. She began to. Over the past few years, the couple has indeed lived a very sweet and loving life. But wealth and power are alluring, and mediocre people can't resist the temptation of greed. A few years later, Mizusawa Yoshi's selfishness grew, and rumors began to spread that he had kept women outside. At first count, there were more than 10 women. Because after these things were exposed, the relationship between him and His Highness the Prince also dropped to a freezing point. After the two had been tormenting and quarreling with each other for several years, the originally gentle and elegant prince no longer guarded one person, and the couple began to play their own way. This should be regarded as the first major change in her temperament. Bai Qianchun frowned when she heard this. Oh, it was the first time that my temperament changed drastically. Is there a second time? Yes, the second time was a year ago. Mizusawa Jia died of a woman outside. From then on, His Highness became a widow and began to blatantly accept younger men. She was still a reasonable person before, but then she became a widow. She started to become irrational, her character became extremely domineering and violent, and she liked to use strong and bloody methods to do things. 3 months ago, she even almost killed a baron who looked at her too many times, as if she was extremely out of control. Which shows that there is a serious problem with her mental state. Well, the problem is indeed a bit serious. Bai Qianchun nodded solemnly. She used to be innocent, gentle, and elegant, but now she is domineering and violent, and even kills people out of control. It's like she has become a completely different person. This is not just a person. Diandian's mental state is problematic. This is a big change in temperament, 2 extremes. Ordinary stimulation and changes can definitely not only cause such an effect. As far as she knows, in this case, external means or drugs are more likely to be affected. It's a pity that she didn't check the prince's pulse carefully before, and only relied on look and smell to initially judge her mental state. If she wants to understand her true spiritual world, she must ask, cut. After Bai Qianchun had an idea in her mind, she also had some idea of how to treat His Royal Highness the Prince's next treatment. On the side, Fen Yuyu saw her frowning and thinking, and couldn't help but ask, how about it? Can you analyze something? Can her illness be cured? Bai Qianchun raised her lips and glanced at him. If she fully cooperates without reservation, I'm 90% sure. Fen Yuyu's eyes suddenly lit up. Okay, I'll let Yao Wengxian negotiate. They had a good relationship at the negotiating table before. I believe he will do his best to persuade His Royal Highness to cooperate with you. Bai Qianchun stared at Fen Yuyu with an insightful look in his eyes. It will be good for you to treat her well. Fen Yuyu's thin lips curled up lazily, and she didn't hide it. It does have benefits. The cooperation case between her and Yao Wengxian is still stuck, which affects a lot of things. Without exploring too much, Bai Qianchun stopped continuing the topic. After taking the rhizome from Fen Yuyu, he put it in the pot and stir-fried it. After frying the tobacco leaves, she set them aside to cool. She took the pot and rinsed it in the sink. Then she heated it again, added medicinal ingredients to it, stir-fried it with a spatula, and added various other medicinal ingredients. Put it in one after another, continue to stir-fry, add water, cover the pot, wait for a few minutes to start to collect the juice. Then a layer of green light appeared in her hands, and she put her hand into the pot without being afraid of the heat, and started to rub it in the air. Fen Yuyu stood aside and his eyes were rounded. Is this just making balls? It's really a good image. Could it be that this is where the miracle vitality pill and repair pill come from? Fen Yuyu was in a messy mood and had strange eyes. No wonder he had to use a pot. He really couldn't make such round balls with the pharmacist's experimental equipment. Fen Yuyu watched for a long time before finally regaining the ability to speak, and asked in a slightly hoarse voice, what kind of medicinal pill is this? Bai Qianchun didn't stop moving his hands, rolling the balls skillfully, and answered casually, it's a bone-strengthening pill. It can grow bones. It can be taken internally or externally. Uncle Yequan will come to crush the bones and regrow them soon, and I will have 2 more pills. A younger brother is coming over to take a medicinal bath. Well, I may need to borrow your bathroom, as my bathroom upstairs is not enough. It's my younger brother again. Fenyu immediately frowned and said with dissatisfaction in his eyes, you still want them to take a bath in your bathroom if men and women don't kiss each other? That's not okay. I have 2 wooden barrels for this purpose. It's for taking a bath. You let them squeeze together in my bathroom, take a bath together and have someone to talk to. Bai Qianchun turned around and looked over with a strange look in her eyes. Didn't you take a bath in my bathroom before? Fen Yuyu's ears suddenly turned red, and her beautiful peach blossom eyes stared over. This is different. I can control it and distinguish it clearly, but those 2 young boys are different. You have girls all over the house. Why don't you have any sense of danger outside? You can't ignore it just because you beat people hard and you have poison. There's no guarantee that there won't be any accidents. Bai Qianchun, who originally wanted to argue that her 2 younger brothers had no bad intentions and that he was the big-tailed wolf, listened to him ramble on about how girls should protect themselves. Her ears immediately hurt from being recited, and she also said that Bai as for Major General Ning, he himself is not bad at nagging people. Immediately she lost the desire to defend herself. She hummed twice and concentrated on rubbing her own balls. A chatty man is a bit scary. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 224. The smell of medicine was fragrant in the kitchen, and soon there were bottles of small porcelain bottles arranged neatly on the white countertop, and small wooden boxes stacked one after another. A large pot of bone-enhancing pills looked round and round at first glance, and they were densely packed and innumerable. It was estimated that there were hundreds of pills. Bai Qianchun divided them into 2 parts, and put one part in a small porcelain bottle. The one in the small wooden box has a longer shelf life, and the other one in a small wooden box will be used recently. But even after dividing it into 2 portions, the number of small porcelain bottles and small wooden boxes still seemed considerable. Fen Yuyu's eyes changed from stunned at the beginning to gradually accepting, and now to dead fish eyes. It's not surprising that people get numb after seeing it too much. After Bai Qianchun finished rubbing the bone-enhancing pills that needed to be used, she saw that it was still early and her 2 younger brothers and Ye Quan hadn't arrived yet, so she simply didn't leave the kitchen and started rubbing the beauty pills, whitening pills, and vitality pills again. Beauty elixirs and whitening pills are specially prepared for those noble ladies who come to Muiyuan planet. Bai Qianchun has observed that these noble ladies have been built with gold and jade since childhood. What they love most is to compare. Whether it's jewelry, bags, or looks. She believes that beauty elixirs and whitening pills will definitely be their most popular treasures in the future. Well, according to market supply and demand, the prices of these 2 pills can be increased appropriately. As for the vitality pill, Fen Yuyu and Marshal Huo all came here for the vitality pill. She had to prepare some goods before doing business and collect some money as soon as possible. So after watching the formation process of the vitality pill, Fen Yuyuan's dull and numb eyes gradually became weird. Is this a high-end version of the vitality pill worth 60 million a pill? Why does it look so effortless? In just over half an hour, a whole big pot came out. Yes, he read that right, it was a whole big pot. The green liquid was almost flush with the whole pot. When the juice was collected, they were rolled into balls. It also took up most of the space in the pot. I initially estimated that there must be more than 100 pills. I heard from Yao Wengxian that ancient doctors personally said that making this vitality pill is difficult, the steps are complicated, and it takes a long time. The result is this. Bai Qianchun was bottling the vitality pill without squinting. Don't ask, just ask because the power has increased and the proficiency has gone up. Ask again. Technology monopoly is worth this price, whether you like it or not. Fen Yuyu's eyes were full of resentment, This pot must be sold for more than 6 billion yuan. It's really easy for you to earn star coins. Bai Jianchun glanced at him lightly and sneered, you are in charge of genuine star. You can sell tens of billions of precious ores for just one piece. If you can collect money while lying down, you must compare with me how difficult it is to make money. Fen Yu looked away in a stern voice, ahem, I just sighed casually. By the way, when will the patient you are waiting for come over? If it is later, it will be time to finish eating. He smacked his lips and thought about the delicious food he had for lunch. If it was time to finish the meal, he really couldn't guarantee that he would stay and continue to help her instead of running out to eat. Bai Jianchun glanced at the light outside and frowned slightly, it should be coming soon. It's really getting late. But another hour passed after they said this. Bai Jianchun had used up all the medicinal materials for making the vitality pill. Ye Yang, Leng Xiao, Ye Quan, and Ye Qiang, father and son, arrived late. Sister Chun, we are here. The four people walked in from the outside with tired faces, and Ye Yang's little tiger teeth that looked so beautiful when he smiled were all gone. Bai Jianchun put the pile of small porcelain bottles and small wooden boxes on the kitchen table into the space button, walked out of the kitchen, and raised his eyebrows curiously when he saw their sad looks. What's wrong with you? Oh, it's a long story. Ye Yang looked around in the room and didn't see any place to sit. Finally, he simply sat down on the threshold, stretched out his legs and said with a look of disgust, we were just here. I met a pair of brother and sister who were particularly stupid and idiotic outside. Bai Jianchun was even more curious. Fen Yu followed lazily out of the kitchen. He raised his eyebrows and glanced at the empty living room. He rarely acted considerately and took out a set of sofas, 4 chairs, and a long table from the space. Without exception, they are all luxurious products, the kind inlaid with precious stones. He walked towards the most comfortable sofa with a pair of long, straight legs, and then elegantly sat down on the side, lazily stretched out his arms on the back of the sofa, and smiled at Bai Jianchun with his peach blossom eyes. He picked it and motioned for her to come over and sit down. Bai Jianchun glanced at the 4 chairs, then pursed her lips and walked to the edge of the sofa, sitting down across from Fen Yu. Only then was Fen Yu satisfied. His eyes were crooked and the corners of his mouth were raised as he said to the 3 people still standing in the living room, you're welcome. Come and sit with us. He really looks like a male host. Ye Quan Ye Qiang looked at the gems on the chair, his eyes widened, and he hesitated to move his feet. Is such an expensive thing worthy of their butts? Oh my God, Star-Lord's husband is indeed a rich man, even every chair is inlaid with big gems. However, Ye Yang was not polite at all. He jumped up from the threshold in excitement, patted his butt and walked towards the chair, sitting down comfortably. Leng Xiao followed closely behind, seemingly sitting down on another chair slowly. Ye Yang rubbed his hands here and there, and after adjusting to the most comfortable position, he immediately greeted Ye Quan, Ye Qiang, and his son, who were still standing stupidly, with a smile on his face. Stop standing stupidly, come and sit down. My brother-in-law is the star master of genuine star, and the big gems and the like are just scraps from their genuine star. They are worth a dime, and their value is not worth mentioning at all. Even if I mess up, my brother-in-law will not let you pay compensation. Fen Yu glanced over, this guy is really brave, he dared to set a trap for him. But he was right in saying that these gems with no energy but good looks are indeed the cheapest stones on his gold source star. His pair of peach blossom eyes swept over the bodies of Leng Xiao and Ye Yang with a deep light, looking at the 2 boys. One was sunny and lively, bold but careful, and the other had a cold face and a paralyzed face. He seemed young but had a lot of body. It has an unusual momentum. The 2 younger brothers of his agreement wife do look extraordinary. They don't look like children who grew up in isolation on Wuyuan planet. Ye Quan and Ye Qiang, father and son, swallowed hard and finally overcame their awe of the big gems, and carefully sat down on the remaining 2 chairs. Not to mention, the chair with the big gemstone is more comfortable than the ordinary chair, and the soft and sunken feeling is as soft as sitting on the sofa. Bai Qian-chun took out 2 porcelain bottles and a small wooden box from the space bag and put them on the table. He pushed the small wooden box towards Ye Yang and said, "This is the bone-strengthening pill. You can talk about it while eating. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs." Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 225. Oh, Ye Yang responded with a smile, skillfully took out 2 bone-enhancing pills from the small wooden box and threw them into his mouth. He poured another glass of water and took a sip, swallowed the bone-enhancing pills and then sipped it. Ba smacked his lips and continued his previous rant. "When we came here just now, we met a group of people surrounding Du Le in a pomegranate grove not far outside the Star-Lord's mansion. The group of people were arrogantly laughing there and didn't know what to say to Du Le. Du Le looked at Weak and Weak, with a humiliating expression as if he was being bullied. They are all the cubs of Mu Yun seeing. Of course we can't just sit back and go help. Who knew we almost got entangled with that man's sister?" Ye Yang wiped his sweat with lingering fear. The time for the medicine to take effect had not yet arrived, so Bai Qian-chun was not in a hurry to start treatment, and motioned him to continue with her eyes. Ye Yang became more motivated to tell stories, so he drank another glass of water and continued talking. The leader of that group of people was a fat-haired, pink-faced boy who loved to learn how to put on women's makeup. He was very arrogant, and his nostrils turned upward when he looked at people. He was mocking Du Le for being a poor guy who was kicked out of the military academy. He also liked he used his identity to suppress others and had a very vicious mouth. We went to help Du Le, but this guy was not afraid at all. He also belittled us all up and down. The key is that he also humiliated Mu Yun seeing. People with such a good temper were so angry that he cursed. Bai Qian-chun looked at him with subtle eyes, doubting his good temper, but this did not stop her from hating the arrogant boy. Ye Yang said. Ye Yang took another sip of water and put the cup on the table with a bang. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. "No, that kid also said that I'm a dwarf. I can't just let him go. I have to give him some toys at night, let him learn more about it." Bai Qian-chun and Leng Xiao knew very well what the little toy he was talking about was, but Ye Quan and Ye Qiang were a little confused. How could they give someone a toy out of anger? But Fen Yuyu felt something amiss from his fierce and sinister tone. This little toy was definitely not a toy in the literal sense. After finishing talking about the annoying little guy, Ye Yang started to complain about his unspeakable sister again. This was the reason why the 4 of them looked tired as soon as they walked in the door. Speaking of the sister, she is very different from her brother's outspoken playboy style. She has a pure and weak face. When her brother scolds her, she will look nervous and uneasy, with watery eyes. Her big and smart eyes were beside her, but she hesitated to speak. When the scolding was particularly excessive, she would come out worriedly to speak to Du Le and Ye Yang. But I don't know why, if she helps to speak, just help to speak. Although her words are artificial, they don't sound too bad, but every time she finishes speaking, she can attract even more unscrupulous ridicule from her brother's group, which is quite a bit embarrassing. A feeling of adding fuel to the fire. But let's call her bad. The words she said did seem to be for their sake and on their side. So here's the interesting thing. Ye Yang and the others started to attack such a kind sister, with speechless expressions on their faces. But as for the group of people opposite, 1 or 2 of them expressed sympathy and comfort to the sister, and then pointed the finger even more. And taunted them. Then the little sister was weak and anxious, and her face was filled with worry and anxious persuasion. Ye Yang and the others were speechless again, and the group of people opposite yelled even louder. In this infinite loop. With this kind sister around, the fight didn't break out, but the yelling and cursing didn't stop. It took more than an hour until Leng Xiao couldn't help but get angry, and a fireball started from there. Brother Bai Zhanji passed by his ear, and these arrogant noble young men finally knew how to write the words "enough is enough." The farce ended, and before the two sides parted ways, the younger sister performed another last-minute show. She burst into tears and smiled at Ye Yang and the others. Her pretty, watery face smiled like a flower, and said, "Nice to meet you, brothers. Linger will come play with you again from now on." Then the men on her side immediately pulled her back and looked at Ye Yang and the other five with vigilant eyes. Ye Quan, who was also targeted by the eyes, he is already a father. Why are these young people looking at him like they are guarding against wolves? Does he seem to be such a shameless person who likes little girls? The expressions of Ye Yang and Leng Xiao were, "Don't come over." All in all, the process is difficult to describe, and the ending is quite tiring. Ye Yang felt that this was the most tiring fight he had ever had. Bai Qianchun summed up the sister in 2 words, White Lotus and Fish Pond Master. From Ye Yang's dictation, she could see the pity and vague ambiguity that the men had for her. What she said to Ye Yang and the others before leaving even more proved this. This woman is raising children. Where's the fish? Bai Qianchun narrowed his eyes and tapped his fingers on the table. She probably guessed who the siblings were. She had heard Du Le mention it before, that the most likely person who had conflicts with him and used his privileges to expel him from the military academy was Bai Chenjun of the Bai family. This group of people mocked Du Le for being expelled from the military academy. They obviously knew the inside story. Coupled with the fact that he has the right personality, 99% of the time, brother Bai Zhanji is Bai Chenjun. As for the sister, the only one in the Bai family who is younger than Bai Chenjun is Bai Ruling. What kind of person is Bai Ruling? There was such a person in the dream of Bai Qianchun. Compared with Bai Rujuan, who appeared before, although Bai Ruling is also Bai Zhuangkan's illegitimate daughter, her rank is much higher. In the dream of Bai Qianchun, Bai Ruling didn't have much interaction with her. After a few years, Bai Ruling never got married, but she became the target of many aristocratic children, and she was also the white moonlight in their hearts. The only thing that impressed Bai Qianchun was that Bai Ruling once came to her after Bai Qianchun was exposed for her crazy targeting of Shengbaining and was ridiculed by countless people, and she kindly reminded her to let her wake up and don't risk your good cards for a man. Bai Qianchun asked her why she came to remind him, and she took the initiative to say that it was because of guilt. It turns out that when they were still in the Bai family, Bai Ruling and Bai Qianchun were friends with the same problem, and they were equally unpopular. As an illegitimate daughter, Bai Ruling was often targeted by Bai Zhuangkan's head wife. The two of them lived the same life. The difficult Bai family naturally became friends. Until once, when Bai Qianchun found an opportunity to escape from the Bai family, her whereabouts were betrayed by this friend, and she was finally captured by the Bai family. From then on, the two were no longer friends. The reason why Bai Ruling came forward to remind her was because of this guilt. However, Bai Ruling's tone at that time was arrogant and mocking. Bai Qianchun thought she was here for a joke, so he didn't listen to her words. All in all, Bai Ruling is a very complicated person. If you say she is good, she is not a good person, but if you say she is bad, she is not completely bad. She somewhat understood why Ye Yang and the other 4 looked tired. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 226. After talking about the troubled brother and sister, Ye Yang touched his legs, which were starting to feel numb, and looked over eagerly. Sister Chun, I have feelings. When should we start taking medicinal baths? Fen Yu, who was originally curling his lips and listening lazily and mockingly, immediately tightened his jaw, pursed his thin lips, sat up slightly, brushed his eyes and looked over, feeling, "What do you feel? Is this little dwarf trying to seduce people?" Fenyu narrowed his peach blossom eyes, full of scrutiny. Although Ye Yang hadn't started practicing ancient martial arts yet, he was still alert. He noticed it immediately when Fenyu looked over. He subconsciously turned his head to look. When he saw it was Fenyu, he felt relieved. She grinned at him heartlessly, her smile was bright and sunny, and a pair of cute little tiger teeth were exposed. Fenyu's dignified face tightened, his lazy expression faded away, taking on a hint of sharpness, and he looked at him with dark and serious eyes. "Is this kid provoking?" "Yes, definitely provoking him." She was exactly the same as the woman who wanted to pry his eldest sister into the corner. They both smiled like flowers. They first let down their vigilance, and then waited for the opportunity to seduce her. His handsome and enchanting eyebrows frowned slightly. No, he had to remind this woman Bai Qianshun. This woman must not know that the brother she just recognized has such dirty thoughts in her heart. Moreover, this younger brother is still a minor. This woman, Bai Qianshun, definitely doesn't like having a sibling relationship. Fenyu thought righteously in his heart. Bai Qianshun stood up, looked at Ye Yang and said seriously, "It's good if you feel it. Let's start the medicinal bath. The bone strengthening pill requires medicine and medicinal bath to have the greatest effect. However, I have also followed as you said, the process of mixing the two medicinal baths will be very painful. Once you start, you can't stop. Even if you scream and want to jump out, I will let your brother-in-law watch, even if you are tied up. Gonna tie you in a barrel." Fenyu suddenly raised his eyebrows and relaxed. He tied this boy upright. Yes, he loved doing this job. When the time came, he would be tied to a tight knot. Even the strongest orcs could break free. The kind that doesn't open. Ye Yang suddenly felt a chill, but without thinking too much, he patted his chest and assured, "Sister Chun, don't worry, there is no turning back when you shoot the bow. I understand the truth. Okay, then I'm going to prepare the medicinal bath. It will start in 10 minutes. Uncle Quan and Brother Chiang will wait for me here. I'll be fine soon." Ye Quan just needed some time to adjust his mentality, so he hurriedly responded. After Bai Qianshun finished giving instructions, she stood up and headed towards the kitchen. Fenyu also stood up without hesitation, followed behind her like an old man with his hands behind his waist, bumped into Ye Yang in a swaggering manner, and followed into the kitchen without looking back, consciously acting as a henchman. Ye Yang, who couldn't follow up in time because he was hit, rubbed his shoulder. It didn't hurt much, but he was robbed of the position of the number one striker next to Sister Chun. He felt strange about it. Ye Yang thought for a while, then followed in with his feet up and licking his face. He asked with a smile, "Sister Chun, how can I help? Do you need to wash these herbs?" "I'll do it." Before he finished speaking, as soon as he stretched out his hand, a hand as slender as jade with calluses on the knuckles took the lead and picked up the pile of medicinal materials. Fenyu looked at him with a sly smile and said with a slightly proud tone, "Your sister just gave me this to wash." Oh Ye Yang smiled with his lips raised, and his bright eyes wandered around the kitchen, then stared at the handful of herbs that Bai Qianshun had just taken out from the space. "Sister Chun, this." Fenyu stretched out his other hand and snatched the herb from Bai Qianshun's hand before Ye Yang. With a fake smile on his face, he gritted his teeth and said to Ye Yang, "Leave this to me too, let me do it." Ye Yang, "Oh, that." This time, he was interrupted by the smiling Fenyu before he could even finish 3 words. Fenyu put the 2 handfuls of herbs aside, then pushed his shoulders and sent them out. The urging and lazy voice also sounded in his ears without rejection, "Brother, I'll be fine with your brother-in-law in the kitchen. You can't help much here. Don't occupy the position and be unable to move. You'd better go outside and wait. Then he was pushed out of the door by an irresistible force. Outside the kitchen, Ye Yang stood there with a confused look on his face. After a few seconds, he scratched his head and realized what was happening. He turned to Leng Xiao, who was leaning on the door frame with his arms folded at the door of the kitchen for help, and blinked twice. Being, why do I feel like my brother-in-law doesn't like me? Leng Xiaomian's face was paralyzed, and he glanced at him coldly without any emotion. Remove it, I just don't like you. Ye Yang looked shocked. Really, but why? Leng Xiao pursed her lips and thought for a moment. Her paralyzed face seemed a little confused, but upon closer inspection it was still cold. She said 3 words coldly, I don't know. Ye Yang. Ye Quan, father and son, Ye Qiang, who were listening with their ears perked up. Among the 4 people present, only Ye Quan, an uncle who had a wife, seemed to understand. He looked at the helpless expressions on the faces of Ye Yang, Leng Xiao, and the 2 boys. As the serious partner of the Star Lord, he was preventing you from prying. There are 2 silly boys in the corner. The kitchen door was so close, and the 2 people in the kitchen had good hearing, so of course they heard everything clearly. Bai Chun's long and thick eyelashes trembled slightly. She raised her eyes to look at Feng Yuya curiously, and frowned slightly. What's going on with this man? If you don't like Ye Yang, why did Ye Yang provoke him? Feng Yuya gritted his teeth in his heart. Ye Yang's stinky brother dared to harm him, but he smiled with a devilish smile on his face, confusing all living beings, and defended, illusion, it is definitely an illusion, I didn't mean it. Bai Chun still looked at him suspiciously. Feng Yuya gritted his teeth and said, I do dislike him for being in the way. The kitchen is so big, just the 2 of us are enough, and my brother is so busy. It's okay to let him go outside to rest. Didn't you say that he would brew the medicine later? Will the bath be painful? I just want him to relax quickly and adjust his mental state for a while so that he can face the pain positively. Oh, Bai Chun thought it did make sense, then nodded and accepted the explanation, and the matter was revealed. Feng Yuya felt relieved when he saw her relaxed eyebrows. Then I thought that this was wrong. It was obviously the stinky brother who wanted to take advantage of him. Why should he feel guilty and make excuses? It would be better if he told the matter openly and honestly. Anyway, he had to remind Bai Chun of this woman. Let the matter get out of the way, so that the stinky brother can retreat. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 227. After the couple was busy working in the kitchen for a while, 2 buckets of medicinal baths were quickly prepared. Feng Yuya was holding a bucket in one hand, smiling with a pair of peach blossom eyes, and said to the guardian standing at the door of the kitchen, follow me quickly, your sister has left the medicinal bath to me, follow me to the bathroom for a bath. Ye Yang and Leng Xiao looked at each other. The former plucked up the courage to follow him as if he was willing to die generously, while the latter still had a cold expression and followed with a blank face. As soon as the door to the room opened, luxurious and shiny decorations appeared in front of the 2 of them, which directly compared the bedroom they had decorated upstairs to ashes. Ye Yang, the aesthetic director who decorated the bedroom upstairs, looked concerned and murmured with envy, it's great to be rich, brother-in-law. The decoration of this room looks very expensive. This big bed, this carpet, this cabinet, these are all star coins. Don't say it, I'm just envious. Feng Yuya glanced at him appreciatively, thinking that this boy had good vision. Then I heard Ye Yang continue to say, brother-in-law, aren't you sleeping in the same room as Sister Chun? Why are you setting up another room downstairs? The smile on Feng Yuya's face suddenly froze, and he almost forgot about it. Sure enough, he is the stinky brother who wants to poach someone, and he likes to find loopholes and ask questions. But can Fenyuyu expose this flaw and let the stinky brother seize the opportunity to continue poaching? It is absolutely impossible. Don't dig into fake corners either. He smiled and said dotingly, well, I'm used to living in luxury at home, and I'm not used to sleeping in such a simple place like the one upstairs. Your sister felt sorry for me, so she asked me to decorate another room according to my own preferences. She comes down to sleep with me, and she can go up to sleep with her after I get used to it. Properties like ours are everywhere, and there are many rooms and bedrooms. You can sleep wherever you want. My brother's house may not have enough rooms. You know it too well. Although their thoughts were not on the same line, Ye Yang was still shocked by his show of wealth. Damn it, what's the matter with hundreds of millions of envy? Even Leng Xiao behind him was swayed by his wealth. There is no way, their team is all people with the same attribute, they are poor, they have never seen such a wealthy world. Fenyuyu, who was wealthy, was happy in his heart. He lifted the bucket into the bathroom with the corner of his mouth curled up, and said enthusiastically like a good brother-in-law, okay, the bathroom is inside. The lighter colored bucket belongs to Erbing and the darker one it belongs to brother Ye Yang. Wait a while and pour it into a big bucket, then add water in a ratio of 1:5, you know this. Ye Yang and Leng Xiao nodded seriously, I know. Okay, you pour it yourself, take off your clothes and soak in. I'm right outside the door. Call me if you need anything. Good. Then Fenyuyu wiped his hands and walked out lazily. After leaving Baikin Chun's sight, he certainly didn't want to continue serving these two brats. Humph, they weren't children. Let them take care of themselves. Besides, even though they are not yet adults, they are still men, and they definitely don't like to be watched by him taking off their clothes. After Fenyuyu made up his excuse, he sat down on the big bed with peace of mind. The sound of rushing water and the rustling sound of undressing came from the bathroom, and then Ye Yang started to scream. Fenyuyu had a smile on his lips and raised his eyebrows happily, how about it, do you need my help to tie you up? No, no, ow, it hurts me to death. Erbn, what are you doing? Don't hold me down. I'll do it myself, gilug. Listening to Ye Yang's various cries and howls of resistance coming from the bathroom, Fenyuyu was happy. He took out a hemp rope from the space button, took it in his hand and pulled it to test the strength, and then decisively stepped away. With long legs, he walked in with a smile step by step, Brother Ye Yang, I heard the sound of water splashing. I think it's better for me to help you. You can't waste your sisters and my heart. Oh, don't come over here. Two men with flashy clothes but extremely strong skills came in from the strong wall of the main palace of the star. Hey, this Muyuan star is really in tatters. Even the defense wall of the Star Lord's mansion is so easy to destroy. They don't need a hacker master. They can just hire a mid-range hacker to crack it. Tisk tisk. The two looked at each other and continued walking forward. Because the Muyuan planet has resurrected, the plants have grown wildly, and there is almost no footing wherever they go. The Star Lord's mansion is also lush with vegetation, so they can easily find the traces of their feet and follow these traces very quickly. I successfully found a spot of red among the green leaves and a neat and brand new two-story building in the dilapidated ghost building. They immediately approached the small building using the cover of the big cobs of corn. As they approached, the smell of the medicine became stronger. The two of them looked surprised. Is this Muyuan Star Master making medicine? Could it be that someone was injured? Is it the Muyuan Star Master himself or the young lord of the Feng family? No matter who it is, this is a big secret. Pass the news back quickly, and the master will definitely reward them. Under the huge temptation of the reward, the two of them got excited. They crawled forward in the cornfield, but as soon as they approached the two-story building, they heard a scream like a slaughtering pig coming from inside, and they were frightened. Their bodies are trembling. Fortunately, they had the professionalism and stopped in time without shaking any more corn cobs. They suppressed their emotions, lowered their bodies and continued to listen. The pig-killing screams were still going on. The more they screamed, the more painful they became. The more they listened, the more curious they became. The voice sounded like a man's, but it didn't sound like the voice of the young lord of the Feng family. Before they could finish thinking about it, another painful sound like muffled thunder joined in. The sound was rougher and more mature. It turned out that Yekwan's treatment had also begun. If Yekwan wanted his two legs to be even in length, he had to break the closed bones of the short leg, and then he could use bone-enhancing pills to regrow it. What's going on now is the leg-breaking session. Bai Qianchun had a serious expression on her face. When she heard Yekwan's painful muffled sounds, her cold face did not move at all. Instead, she glanced at Yeqiang lightly and said coldly, "Press harder, don't let him struggle." Yeqiang responded quickly. His rosy face was now pale and sweat was pouring out from his forehead, but the expression on his innocent face was very determined. He pressed harder again. The two of them cooperated quite well. Yekwan, an old man, was in so much pain that he could not speak and was held down by his son, unable to move. He almost burst into tears. At this moment, his heart was in sync with Nongui and the others. Yes, Star-Lord is a devil. The two people who were listening in the corner of the cornfield separated by a wall, and several new people who joined in, were also trembling, thinking about the devil in their hearts. They understood the voice press harder and it was the voice of the Muyuan Star Master. This woman is so cruel, what on earth is she doing inside? As the sun sets over the western mountains, what is the reason for the screams like slaughtering pigs coming from the main mansion of Muyuan Star? I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 228. The sunset rose and dyed the sky, making it look like a fairyland made of glass. In the only village on Muyuan Star, the aroma of food gradually floats up. The most tempting thing is the drunken aroma that penetrates all the way into the mouth and nose. It makes people feel greedy, even those who are not hungry can't bear it. He kept licking his lips, and surrounded the village with bright eyes, as if he was bewitched. Even if they dislike Muyuan in every possible way, certain nobles who are picky in their bones really can't resist the temptation of this scent. Don't be awkward and find various excuses to try it. Feng Tanggui was the first to arrive, and she was now the first in line eagerly holding a dinner plate. She stood in front of the big pot, leaning forward, her eyes almost piercing into the pot. This is so fragrant, better than the normal version of Buddha jumping over the wall. She looked at it eagerly with her pretty little face, her mouth watering. Shen Nangxiao behind him and the noble girls from Puyi who came to line up with Shen Nangxiao wiped the corners of their mouths and nodded in agreement. The aristocratic girls who were supposed to be dignified and reserved were now wearing simple and beautiful casual suits, their eyes glowing green, like little puppies waiting to be fed. Apparently, they became more and more independent after they separated from the third Princess Jin Yushan and followed Shen Nangxiao and Feng Tanggui. Not far away, a man with feminine eyebrows came back to his senses from the delicious aroma of wine. His dark gray and obscure eyes glanced around the faces of these noble ladies, and he couldn't help but frown. In front of the man was a long, luxurious, and exquisite platinum gold table, covered with a bohemian pattern tablecloth, and the chairs were all European style with precious and dazzling red gemstones. The arrangement on the table is even more particular. There is a small vase filled with champagne roses. Even people who are not knowledgeable can tell that the price of this vase is high because it is inlaid with a circle of bright flowers. The gems, from dots to lines, are connected to form a broken star area, as if they want to encompass the entire starry sky. Just two words, flash. How? Anyone who knows the goods will know that this vase is the Starry Sky vase worth up to 1 billion that was auctioned by Tanlangzing Tanlang Consortium a few years ago. The person who owns it is definitely a symbol of wealth. In addition to this vase, there is also a set of tea sets placed on the table. The royal yellow is the background tone, and large rose shapes are drawn on it. It is gorgeous, eye-catching, elegant, and noble, and the nobility blows away. It can be guessed that this tea set is also valuable. There is also the Earl Grey black tea they are brewing at the moment. It is the best tea. Just one tea leaf can make a pot of black tea overflowing with fragrance. It can be seen that this table is a typical extravagant aristocratic style. As the owner of the set of luxurious tables and chairs, the man was not in a good mood at the moment. His frown never relaxed. After taking a sip of black tea, he looked up at the drooling woman in the direction of the team. The disgust in his eyes almost overflowed. Tisk, she doesn't have the demeanor of a noble lady at all. How can such a woman be the mistress of the Shui family? Bai Chenjun, who was sitting across from him, followed the man's gaze and his eyes shone brightly on his oily-haired and pink-faced face. Our Uncle Ziyu talking about the noble daughter of the Pu family. Bai Zhuangquan and Shui Ziyu have similar personalities and intertwined interests, so they are considered good friends. Bai Chenjun, the son, naturally has some face in front of Shui Ziyu, and Uncle Ziyu is quite affectionate. Mizu Sawayu turned around and glanced at him, with a mocking and arrogant snort in his feminine brows. Who else could be there besides her? Bai Chenjun breathed a sigh of relief, and immediately showed a flattering smile and taunted him. Yes, yes, Uncle Ziyu is right, that noble daughter of the Pu family is so unattractive. She is dressed dirty and doesn't know what to say, but she still with such an indecent expression. Even my younger sister ruling is more dignified and virtuous than her, so she is indeed not suitable to be the mistress of the Shui family. He rolled his eyes and asked suspiciously, but I heard from my father that Uncle Ziyu came here for the sake of the Muyuan Star Master this time. Shui Ziyu glanced at him, his eyes darkened, and he sneered, oh, it's too late. This Muyuan Star Master is very capable and has climbed up to the top of the Feng family. He said through gritted teeth, anger boiling in his heart. Ever since the death of his wife, Mizu Sawayu has been looking for a wealthy stepwife to fill the financial deficit in his name. Originally, he was attracted to Pu Yi, the noble daughter of the Earl's palace, although the Pu family is now in decline. But the wealth accumulated by his ancestors cannot be underestimated, so even if the status of Pu Yi, the noble daughter of the Earl's mansion, is a little lower, he can still accept it. However, after Muyuan Star was restarted, he paused his actions and added the Muyuan Star Master as his candidate for stepwife. This Muyuan Star Master is just an orphan and has no one to rely on. Muyuan Star is in dire straits and is very poor. However, as a member of the Shui family who owns a Shui Yuan Star, he knows the value of an origin star better than anyone else. Especially the Jupiter star that is responsible for growing life. Therefore, although the Muyuan Star Master is still a little pitiful, and Muyuan Star is still a place where birds don't shit, Mizu Sawayu is still very interested in this stepwife candidate. Until 2 days ago, his old man sent an important message on the Shaking Light Star. A woman who claimed to be an ancient doctor appeared on the Shaking Light Star. She came from the Muyuan planet and could also make 2 vitality pills and repair pills. Planting medicine, the former can repair the muscles and veins blocked by superpowers, and the latter can repair the broken superpower cores. She has made billions on the fluttering star just by relying on these 2 pills. According to their speculation, this ancient doctor is probably the Muyuan Star Master who has never shown his face. At this moment, Mizu Sawayu's heart immediately boiled, and he immediately flew to Muyuan Star in a battleship to confirm this matter. If that ancient doctor is really the master of the Muyuan Star, he can immediately eliminate the other candidates for his stepwife. She is his only choice. If he marries her, he can get an origin star for free, plus her Yeoans's ability to make money and her special characteristics will definitely make him surpass his elder brother. Even if she turns out to be ugly after taking off the mask, he will be happy to marry her. But he never expected that the night before he arrived at Muyuan Star, it was confirmed that the ancient doctor was the Lord of Muyuan Star, but it was also revealed that the Lord of Muyuan Star was married, and her partner it's still Fenyuyu's troublesome bitch. This made Mizusawayu very angry. The most perfect stepwife candidate was gone. The duck wasted. It would have been good if he didn't go into a rage and fight with that boy Fenyuyu. But he also knew that it was absolutely impossible for him to steal his wife from that boy Fenyuyu. Not to mention that the Feng family was a duke's palace just like the Shui family, but that bastard Fenyuyu was using the name of a young prince. He is only the second young master of the Shui family, and this status is a natural gap. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luziy. Chapter 229. What's more, there is a powerful elder brother above him. If he is not careful, he will be seized by the elder brother and pushed to the bottom with no room for improvement, so he can only choose to let go and cannot confront him. In this way, the best candidate for stepwife is Puyi, but with the previous perfect Muyuan seeing as a comparison, he doesn't like Puyi no matter how he looks at her. Baichanjun didn't know that so many things had happened. He had a surprised expression on his face. Fenyuyu, he knew that person. He was a higher class and more powerful person than his Bai family. Many noble ladies discussed at the main star banquet. The most popular marriage partner is him, the son of the acting duke of the Bai family, who is both envious and jealous of him. Compared with him, Uncle Zayu is indeed inferior to others, regardless of status or wealth. But he thought so in his heart, but he didn't dare to say anything. Although he, Baichanjun, is an arrogant and dandy man who likes to bully others, he knows that he can bully anyone casually and must be careful with what he says. Even if he doesn't know what to say, his own father has told him not to offend Shwizawayu. He listened anyway. So at this moment he only dared to flatter and flatter, Uncle Zayu, don't be angry, it's that woman who has no vision. Uncle Zayu, you are young and promising, you have a transcendent status and you know how to care about others. It is her loss not to choose you. There will always be trouble in the future when she regrets it. Baichanjun is mean-mouthed when he scolds others, but he is also quite sweet when he praises others. Mizusawayu was quite satisfied with his flattery, and the hostility in his heart dissipated a little. Baichanjun was used to seeing his own father's face, and now the self-taught man could see Shui Zayu's face clearly. He smiled flatteringly, rolled his eyes and continued, then since the Muyuan Star Master doesn't know what's good and what's good, Pui is not suitable either. Who will Uncle Zayu choose as his stepwife? How about you take a look at my sister Ruling, she is young and beautiful, a gentle interpreting flower, and according to you and my father the relationship is as good as Ling's marriage, and we can still get closer and closer to each other. Bai Ruling, who was sitting next to her, had a look of astonishment on her gentle smile. She never imagined that her idiot brother would say such a thing. She was anxious and uneasy. There were so many fish in her fish pond. Even if none of them had a higher status than Shang Shui Zayu now, she was still young. If she didn't have them now, it didn't mean they wouldn't have them in the future. Moreover, she was not willing to be a stepwife. Mizusawayu was obviously not an easy person to get along with. She made a mental evaluation and felt that she could not handle this man with this method. It's all Baichanjun's damn idiot's fault. What if Shwizawayu really falls in love with her? But fortunately, Shui Zayu did not show interest in her. Instead, he looked at Baichanjun with a sinister look under his soft brows, and asked with a smile, is this your intention or your father's? Bai Chenjun's neck felt cold when he looked at him. He couldn't help shrinking his neck. He turned away his eyes with a guilty conscience and said awkwardly, "Yes, it's me." Ha Shui Ziyu looked away with cold eyes and snorted coldly. He just knew it. How could that old fox Bai Zhuangquan not guess what kind of stepwife he wanted to marry? And by marrying his daughter to him, was he trying to win over him or offend him? He didn't want to be shorter than that old fox for no reason. Tisk tisk, that old fox had all his tricks and was smart all his life, so why did he give birth to such a stupid son? This pig-brained man was lucky that he was Bai Zhuangquan's only son, otherwise he wouldn't know why he died now. Ignoring this idiot, Mizusawa Yu tapped his fingers on the table and ordered the attendant beside him to queue up for some food, and then he opened the communication without haste. Inside were messages from the people he arranged to explore the Star-Lord's mansion, and now they were piled up into a mountain. Anonymous 1, Second Young Master, there was a scream like a slaughtering pig coming from the two-story building where Muyuan's Star Master lived. It was suspected that someone was injured, maybe Muyuan's Star Master or Little Lord Feng. Anonymous 2, Second Young Master, I'm wrong, that scream was not made by those two people. There was someone else who made the scream, suspected to be a star citizen from Muyuan planet. Anonymous 3, damn it, that woman from Muyuan's Star Lord is a devil, she broke that star citizen's leg. Anonymous 4, the boy named Du Li who had a problem with the young master of the Bai family came in to deliver food and was almost discovered by him, but thanks to him we finally knew what was going on inside. Didn't the Muyuan Star Master break his leg? She was treating someone's legs. Xingmin was a cripple with uneven legs. Now she wanted to break off the short leg and reshape the bones to make it flush with the long leg. Anonymous 4, oh my god, it would be amazing if she really succeeds. This does not require other mechanical inlays to support it, and the bones reshape and grow by themselves. If this ability is spread, it will definitely create a big wave in the medical community of Huayao Empire. Anonymous 5, listening to their conversation, they looked very confident of success. Unfortunately, the master of Muyuan Star said that the treatment would last for 15 days. By then, we had already left Muyuan Star and could not see it with our own eyes. It was totally wrong. Anonymous 6, hey, the food tonight is so delicious. We can smell it in the cornfield outside, and it also has a strong aroma of wine. I love drinking the most. Second Young Master, can I apply for a shift change? Come back and have a meal before continuing the human surveillance. The vegetarian dishes made by Muyuan Xing are so damn fragrant that I can't control myself. My whole body starts to itch unbearably. I wonder if the big corn cobs in the cornfield can grow. Nibble, I won't be discovered if I take a bite. Anonymous 6, hey, Muyuan Xingzu plans to launch her magical pills tonight, including beauty pills, whitening pills, and big treatment pills. I don't know what the first two are, but the big treatment pill at the back pill, I know. The bruised and bloody faces of Shen Shenxiang and His Royal Highness the Prince's bodyguards in black were cured with this large healing pill. Anonymous 7, damn, this pill is amazing. The effect is comparable to a mobile holy pool. It is definitely a must-have product for home travel in dangerous positions like ours. Second Young Master, I applied for a short vacation again to buy pills first. This if you miss the pill, you will regret it for 10,000 years. After that, I talked about all kinds of benefits of buying pills and tried to persuade him to allow him to take leave. Veins popped out in Mizusawa Yu's hand holding the teacup, and his eyes were gloomy. Who the hell chose these two idiots? There is so much nonsense and a lot of reasons for asking for leave. It is so noisy. Is this the material for human surveillance by secret guards? Damn it, he always felt like he had been tricked by his old man. How could he use this crappy thing with confidence? Looking at the communication list that lit up again, it was still a message from that lousy thing. Mizusawayu's face darkened, and he simply hung up and ignored it. After such a headache, Mizusawayu's depression and anger at not getting married have dissipated a lot, and turned into irritation towards those two bad men. After returning, he must ask the old man to replace him with someone with a normal mind. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 230. Seeing Shui Ziyu's increasingly gloomy expression, Baichanjun shrank his head, secretly regretting it. Isn't this stinky girl Bai Ruling usually gentle and considerate, and her words are particularly lovable? Why did she become mute just now? If she had spoken more to please Uncle Ziyu wouldn't have looked at him like that just now. Maybe I just agreed. Baichanjun didn't realize his mistake at all, and was still thinking mindlessly, blaming all the mistakes on Bai Ruling. Bai Ruling knew what was going on in Baichanjun's mind as soon as she looked at Baichanjun's angry eyes. Because she was an illegitimate daughter, she had not been treated well by her father's wife since she was a child, so she learned to observe words and emotions from a very young age. You can see other people's emotions at all levels. And since Baichanjun was her brother who grew up together, she knew better what this man was thinking. No one knew his brother's virtues better than she did. Baichanjun never knows how to reflect on his own mistakes. All the mistakes are made by others. So now the whole incident must be blamed on her. Bai Ruling had a weak and sad helpless smile on her face, which made the dandy young masters sitting at the same table feel very distressed. But in fact, at this moment, she was cursing Baichanjun, this idiot, in her heart, and her previous favorability was completely reduced. Yes, but she can't fall out yet, she still has to rely on this idiot to take her out to socialize. In this world, no matter how beautiful a woman is, no matter how good her personality is, and how popular she is, she still has to have a backing, otherwise she can only be reduced to a plaything. Bai Ruling has understood this truth since she was a child, so no matter how stupid Baichanjun is, she can't. After all, he is the most coaxable among the three highest ranking people in the Bai family. After completing the mental hypnosis, Bai Ruling showed a soft smile on her face, stood up and thoughtfully helped the few attendants who came over with the plates, and personally set the dishes for Baichanjun and Shui Ziyu. Uncle Ziyu, brother, try this special delicacy on Wuyuan planet. I heard it tastes better than the chefs of 5-star hotels. We came late and didn't have the lunch meal, but this meal in the evening, it's not bad. This is a vegetarian version of Buddha Jumps Over the Wall. It's fragrant, and it's all made with vegetarian vegetables, making it more delicious than meat dishes. After her gentle introduction, coupled with the alluring fragrance that couldn't help but penetrate their noses, Shui Ziyu and Baichanjun's faces improved a lot. Mizusawa raised his chin arrogantly and motioned for her to bring the dinner plate over, but did not look at her. The little girl was good looking, but he had seen too many beauties of all kinds. He was interested in this illegitimate child of the Bai family. Women are not interested. Moreover, the old fox in Bai Zhuangquan is just an acting duke. It is uncertain whether he can continue to control the Bai family after the serious heir of the Bai family who has escaped for more than a year comes back, and his illegitimate daughter Shuizawayu is even less interested. Eyesight. Bai Ruling was not annoyed but felt happy about this. It was fine that this big shot was not interested in her. Then her flexible mind slowly figured out that this big shot really looked down on people of her status, and she felt relieved. Baichanjun was a little moved by her soft voice, and his original anger slowly melted away. He was satisfied that this girl was sensible, and then he took the wiped chopsticks handed over by Bai Ruling and started eating. Got up. After devouring a delicious dinner, Baichanjun wanted to go out for a walk. He heard that Her Royal Highness the Third Princess had also come to Muyuan Star. He might have a chance encounter, but Mizusawayu had no intention of leaving, and even I asked the waiter to squeeze several different kinds of juice, and prepared to continue drinking juice while resting here. Baichanjun opened his mouth, but didn't dare to offend him anymore. He had to move his butt and sit in his seat without standing up, silently filling his stomach with juice one glass at a time. Naturally, the few followers who were lower in status than him, dandy and by ruling, did not dare to leave first, so they could only stay silent and awkwardly drank juice together. Not to mention, there is really no fault with the fruits and vegetables on Wuyuan planet. Whether it is the vegetarian dinner produced on Wuyuan planet just now or this watermelon juice, pear juice, apple juice, etc., they all taste very good and are purely natural. The sweetness is sweet enough without adding sugar at all. The key is that there are no other odors and it is so delicious that it is addictive. It might be very profitable to open a juice drink shop using these fruits. Bai Ruling was thinking while drinking. She had no intention of fasting to stay in shape. She didn't usually have the chance to drink such a good thing, so she would make money by drinking one more cup. But what is Mr. Shui doing here? Wasn't he willing to stay here longer before? She was a little confused as she thought about it, but she soon understood why. Give way, everyone, be careful. I saw Nongui, the migrant worker on Wuyuan planet who was trying to atone for his sins, shouting loudly, and behind him were two big brothers carrying a frame made of vines. The three people moved quickly and put down the vine shelf in the most open area of the dining table. Then they quickly took out two bamboos and inserted them in. There was a banner hanging above the bamboos that read, "Don't miss it when you pass by." The first batch of beauty pills, whitening pills, and big treatment pills are on trial sale in Wuyuan Star. The quantity is not large, so hurry up if you want to buy. His Highness the Prince's bodyguard was taken care of by Wuyuan Star Master, and was later cured by Wuyuan Star Master with a pill called Big Healing Pill. News of the rapid recovery of the wound has spread. At least the group of people who came early and some of the nobles who had eyes installed on Jupiter knew about this, so as soon as the stall was put up, it quickly attracted the attention of countless people. Most people are eager to try. Puyi quickly put down her chopsticks and ran over to the nearest dining table, becoming the first person to eat crabs in front of many people who were still lingering and not reacting. Puyi's eyes were bright. After being caught and threatened last night, she had no doubts about Wuyuan Xingzu's abilities. She was the woman who could reach an agreement with Mr. Feng to become a fake couple. The key was judging from her momentum last night. This Wuyuan Star Master is no worse than Little Lord Feng. Even if she is not Little Lord Feng's real wife, she is definitely not bad in ability. What's more, Puyi admires Wuyuan Star Lord who can reach an agreement with Little Lord Feng more than being attached to Little Lord Feng's wife because of love. There is an essential difference between fake couples and real couples. She thought about it for a long time last night, and felt that this wave might be her opportunity, and she had to hug Wuyuan Xingzu's thigh tightly. Therefore, she has no doubts about the pills introduced by Wuyuan Star Master. She also took a poison last night. It would be good to try other ones. Anyway, their PU family doesn't have much but they have a lot of money. Spend more and save. One or two of them came to think about it.